Over the last few years, the Warriors have had one of the best stretches of excellence in NBA history. They've won championships, set records, and defined this era of basketball. But is that run over? Before we answer that question, I'd like to thank the first partner of this channel, Cited. Cited is a debates platform that rewards you for your opinion. By voting, commenting, and participating in debates, you climb the leaderboard and earn points that can be redeemed for Amazon gift cards. They have debates on all kinds of subjects, including politics, music, and sports, so head over there after the video and you can check out my debate on whether or not the Golden State dynasty is over. Go to Cited.co or download their app to sign up for free, and thanks again to Cited for their support. The Warriors are a dynasty. You don't need me to tell you that. Whatever you think a dynasty is, they're that. They made 5 straight finals, something that no other team has done since the 60s. They won 3 championships, they won 73 regular season games, and proceeded to add the most talented scorer of the last 20 years to their roster. They changed how basketball is played and the way that teams are constructed. There were stretches of time where they were so unstoppable that it bordered on being unfair. They were practically too good. How many other teams have had similar runs? Russell's Celtics, Magic's Lakers, Bird's Celtics, Jordan's Bulls, Shaq and Kobe's Lakers, and Duncan's Spurs. That's it. That's the whole list. Those are all the dynasties to me. So how does a team go from being too good to where they are now? A 500 team that's bordering on making the playoffs without any serious hope of winning the championship? It's not a trick question, and the answer is fairly simple: injury and departure. In the 2019 finals, Klay Thompson injured his left hamstring in Game 2 and ended up tearing his left ACL in Game 6, an injury that would cost him the 2020 season. In that same finals, Kevin Durant also tore his Achilles tendon and signed with the Brooklyn Nets in the following offseason. Backup point guard Sean Livingston retired following the series, and Andre Iguodala was traded to the Memphis Grizzlies. No Durant, no Livingston, no Iguodala, no Klay, and then, due to a broken hand 4 games into the 2020 season, no Steph. The Warriors weren't supposed to be good last year, but I don't think anyone expected them to end up with the worst record in the NBA. After such a dominant stretch of success, seeing the blue and yellow get stomped on every night was kinda weird. Like seeing The Rock get choked out by FDR. And just when it looked like they were ready for a rebound, Klay blew out his Achilles tendon in November of last year, causing him to miss a 2nd consecutive season. Obviously, injuries aren't really anyone's fault, but for a team that was supposed to be light years ahead of every other franchise, this doesn't seem like that great of a place to be. Now, are there any historical analogs that we could look to and learn from about this kind of situation? Of course there are. Russell retired in '69. They won 11 titles in 13 years with him. They would win 2 over the next 10 years without him. After losing to the Pistons in the '88 playoffs, Bird's body betrayed him. He was beset by injuries and was never the same. The Celtics wouldn't make the finals again for 20 years. Magic retired following the '91 finals due to his diagnosis of the HIV virus. The Lakers wouldn't reach the finals again until the year 2000. Michael retired following 3 straight championships in '93. When he returned full-time in '96, the Bulls again rattled off 3 straight championships. After the '98 championship, he retired and Scottie and Dennis were traded. The Bulls haven't been back to the finals since. Shaq got traded after the 2004 finals. The Lakers didn't win a first-round series for the next 3 seasons. Duncan retired in 2016. Kawhi took the torch but was hurt and traded shortly thereafter, and the Spurs missed the playoffs last year for the first time in 22 years. Injuries and departures. That's how it goes. These teams don't die natural deaths. Going into this season, there was some optimism that last year's disappointment might actually be a good thing. The Warriors ended up with the 2nd overall pick and took James Wiseman, a promising 7-footer with range and athleticism. What's more, after playing practically every possible game of basketball for 5 straight years, the Warriors core got the chance to take a mulligan and recuperate their bodies. The thought was, once everybody was healthy, they'd be rested and motivated to chase another championship. And since Klay's injury, it's been rough sailing for the Warriors. Acquired pieces like Andrew Wiggins and Kelly Oubre Jr. have yet to mesh effectively in the Warriors' offense, which Steve Kerr has said has been simplified from years past. Draymond seems rejuvenated as a defender and as a playmaker, but was never the kind of player who was going to score with enough volume to relieve pressure from Steph. And because defenders can now key in more explicitly on Steph, he's been forced to make things happen more than any other time in his career. We all remember when he scored a career-high 62 points in a win against the Trailblazers. It's a demonstration of how incendiary he is as a talent, especially when he has to carry the full load, but it's also a reminder of the burden that is now being placed on him. To that point, Steph is on pace to finish the season with a three-point percentage below 40% for the first time in his career. The offense is marred by players who haven't figured out where to be and when to be there, and they rank as one of the worst defensive teams in the league. These are problems that I don't think can just be solved by plugging Klay back into their lineup, whether or not he can be all of the Klay Thompson that he was before the injuries. None of it bodes well. For all of the other great fireball teams that had runs for 5, 6, 7 years, when it was over, it was over. The only hope is that they're the Super Spurs. They have to hope that they can be this incredibly talented team reliably, and that they can return to and sustain their historic winning pace. For that to happen, Steph will have to be their Tim Duncan. By all accounts, Steph is every bit of the cultural touchstone that Duncan was. But the other pieces have to fall into place too. They won't be able to find the Sean Livingstons and the Iguodalas and the Leandro Barbosas on the clearance rack. Ironically, the rest of the league is looking for those guys because of the Warriors. It would take a miracle, but they do have the cards to make a bet. Oubre, Wiseman, Wiggins, the picks from the Timberwolves that they got with Wiggins, they all should be on the table. Maybe those players can develop into productive pieces of a championship caliber roster. It's a long shot, but it's not impossible. Maybe they can be packaged in some form or another for a trade with a superstar out there who's looking to win a championship. And there's still the chance of landing some home run free agent. I mean, they have the infrastructure, the culture, the location, but it can't wait. The window is closing. Everything from here on out has to come up Warriors. Klay has to return from injury and be recognizable as Klay Thompson. Curry and Draymond have to stay healthy and be timeless. The pieces have to come together or turn into something immediately useful. If it doesn't start working next year, I'm not saying I'd bury them, I'm just saying I'd have a shovel handy. Aside from Kobe's run with Shaq and his championship victories with an entirely new roster at the end of the 2000s, 3 years is as long as any team can realistically go without being contenders. After that, history says it's over. But then again, I am hard-pressed to find another scenario like this in NBA annals. No team has been so high so as to be in the finals for 5 straight years, and then plummeted to the worst team in the league for reasons that weren't totally under their control. And nobody has been so high, gone so low, and still had all of the available pieces to get back into contention. Like most things about the Warriors, this is all a little unprecedented. If the Warriors are looking for a second act, they have to get it done, and they have to get it done soon. One more year like this might spell the end, because this right now, this is what it looks like when a dynasty dies.